Are you interested in knowing what the true cost of living in the state of Utah is without just Googling it and finding out those numbers? That's what I'm here in this video to cover. As a lifelong resident and Utah native, I would love to share nothing more than to share the facts about what it's truly like in terms of cost of living. And in this video, I'm going to cover the top 8 factors that play into what the cost of living index is. And at the very end of this video, I'm going to summarize it and compare Utah to the national average, as well as show you exactly where Utah ranks in all 50 states in terms of overall affordability and cost of living. If we haven't met yet, my name is Steele, and I absolutely love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. And as a licensed agent here in the state, I get phone calls, emails, and texts from people all over the world looking to make the move right here to the state of Utah. And I have so many valuable resources that I can help share with you and be your guide. I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. So if you're looking to make that move, please reach out. Feel free to text me, call me, or email me. You can find my information in the description below or in the pinned comment right here on this video. Now, to kick this video off, we're going to start with the number one, the biggest thing, the thing that most people want to talk about, and that is real estate. Real estate, of course, plays a heavy role in the total affordability and cost of living for any state. So let's get that out of the way right now. Utah ranks number 7 out of all 50 states in terms of affordability for the average median home price. States like Hawaii and California and Washington and Colorado, these states are just a little bit more expensive than Utah, but Utah is definitely on the more expensive side. And as we've seen an influx of people moving into the state, it has driven those costs even higher. And that can be a good thing for people that already own real estate here, as it drives up your home values. But for people that are looking to be a first-time home buyer, that can be a real serious challenge. And as Utah comes in as the number 7 ranked state for the most expensive real estate, our median home price here in Utah is nearly $550,000. All right, next up, if we talk about real estate costs in terms of purchasing, we also have to talk about renting. Now, Utah ranks as the 18th most expensive state to rent a place to live. And if you compare rents versus owning, it's actually a little bit cheaper to rent here than it is to own, but that might change in the coming years as the market shifts happen, as interest rates come back down potentially, and other factors play into what's actually at play with the real estate market here in Utah. And one thing is safe to say, Utah has been underbuilding in terms of new housing since the financial crisis in 2008. We have been way behind the curve in terms of developing more communities and building more homes. And as we fell back further and further in terms of how much inventory we actually have, we've found it more and more challenging for people who are looking to buy their first home here, as the prices of real estate have continually risen because of that inventory shortage. Now, there are recent talks, especially from Governor Cox here in the state of Utah, to develop a program to build many, many more homes. There is the plan to build an additional 35,000 units over the course of the next 5 years, but the data also shows that we're nearly 180,000 units short in 10 years if we build at the current rates that we're building at. So in summary, something's got to change in terms of how quickly and how much we're building. There are rapidly growing communities and counties here in the state of Utah, namely Washington County down south in southwestern Utah with St. George, but Utah County and Sully County, Davis County, and Weber counties as well. They're all growing at fast rates, but we're just not keeping up. Next up is utilities. Now, this one kind of caught me off guard. This one really surprised me, but it makes sense as I've done my research. Utah comes in as the 50th most expensive. In other words, the least expensive state in the entire nation when it comes to utilities. And by utilities, I'm talking electricity, gas, water, etc. And when you factor all of the utilities that you will have inevitably as you live here in the state of Utah, we are the least expensive state. And I thought that was kind of cool and kind of surprising. But I have confidence that the people in charge of those decisions are probably going to find this data and find a way and a reason to increase our prices in the future. We'll see how that plays out. Next up on the list is groceries. I don't know if you've been affected the way that I've been affected, but since the pandemic in 2020, we've seen incredible increases in prices, and it really rings true every single time I go to the grocery store. I'm oftentimes so incredibly surprised by what the total amount is when I check out, and I'm looking at how much I just purchased with how much I just spent, and it's almost shocking, and it's kind of sad, but inflation has really taken foothold in these last few years. Hopefully that's come to an end now, but Utah, with respect to groceries, ranks as the 29th most expensive state in the country. In other words, there are more more states in the country that are more expensive for groceries than states that are cheaper. So I guess Utah is pretty close to the middle of the pack on this one, and that doesn't surprise me, although I could have imagined that it was even higher than what we're seeing. And even though this is not a category, I do want to make mention of dining out. If you choose to dine out and go to restaurants here in Utah, we do have more expensive dining. I think it's in the top 10 for the most expensive states in the country for eating out. So depending on if you're eating out versus purchasing groceries and cooking at home, you might feel a little bit different sense of what the affordability and cost of living is here. But for the purposes of this video, overall, groceries, we're about middle of the pack. And the next one, another one that we're pretty close to the middle of the pack, is transportation. We're ranked number 21 in the country for costs associated with transportation. So many factors go into this metric that I don't want to cover here, but overall, we're the 21st most expensive state in terms of transportation. Now, next up on the list is the cost of gas. Now, this one can be shocking sometimes. We've always experienced higher gas prices in the summertime around July, but the gas prices here in the state of Utah currently sit on average at $2.78 for a regular gallon of gas, and that ranks Utah as the 36th most expensive state in the country for gas, which means that Utah is one of the least expensive states for gas, which is nice. We need a break. After all, we're spending so much money on our real estate, we may as well take advantage of other things like the cost of gas. Next up is healthcare. Healthcare is a hot topic, and I'm sure healthcare will be top of mind for many as this next election cycle hits, but ultimately healthcare costs can vary widely from state to state, and here in Utah, we're ranked at number 37. In other words, we are one of the less expensive states in the country for healthcare, and that's another good thing that really helps pull some of our costs back down so that it offsets those higher costs, especially with housing and real estate. And as we factor all of these things and everything else that goes into cost of living, Utah comes in ranked as number 23 in the nation in terms of cost of living, which puts Utah almost squarely right in the middle of the pack. We're at number 23. It means there's 22 states that are more expensive and the rest of the states are less expensive. I think that feels about right with what I'm personally feeling and seeing as I'm helping clients move in and out of the state of Utah. And as a whole, Utah is 2% more expensive than the national average. That's not too bad, and I think if you consider Utah versus some of the other states that you're more than likely considering if you're choosing to move here, maybe it's Colorado, maybe it's Arizona or California or Texas, Utah's in a pretty good place, especially when you compare it to those states. And so if you're considering making the move to Utah, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice, or even if you're choosing to move away, I'm here to guide you along that path, and you can find my contact information down in the description below, or you can find it in the pinned comment right here on this video. And if you're looking to make that move and you want to see the top areas to move to, check out this video next. And until next time, thanks guys.